Welcome to this explainer. Okay, right now, at this exact second, there is a seriously weird phenomenon happening inside your head. As you're taking in this information, a part of your brain is rapidly calculating whether to keep paying attention or just switch to something a little easier. It's a calculation happening literally thousands of times a day. And quietly, it might be destroying your ability to do meaningful work. But what if discipline could feel just as good as scrolling on your phone? Today, we're diving into exactly why your brain constantly fights hard work and how we can use the latest neuroscience to rewire it so it actually craves discipline.
So here's our game plan for today. Number 1, how your brain is being hacked. Number 2, the science of dopamine. 3, how to detox your brain. 4, pleasure versus satisfaction. And finally, number 5, rewiring for intrinsic motivation.
All right, part 1, your brain is being hacked. This one single question drives pretty much everything you do. You see, your brain operates on a really simple economic principle. It constantly evaluates every single action by asking, what's the best return on my energy investment? High effort with an uncertain reward? Yeah, your brain automatically hits the brakes. Low effort with guaranteed pleasure? Green light, all the way. And you have to understand, this is not some character flaw on your part. This is ancient survival programming from a time when conserving your calories literally meant staying alive. The catch is that we're walking around with this ancient hardware in a highly engineered modern world. Every app you use, every processed snack you eat, every short-form video you watch, they've all been specifically designed by teams of scientists to exploit that exact survival programming. They give you these massive, intense rewards for absolutely zero effort. They're essentially treating us like highly profitable lab rats. So if you're struggling with focus, just remember this: your brain isn't broken, it's actively being hacked.
Moving on to part 2, the science of dopamine. To really get why willpower absolutely tanks when you try to start a tough project or finally hit the gym, we got to look under the hood at your brain's engine. Deep inside your head is a tiny cluster of neurons called the nucleus accumbens. Think of this as your biological motivation engine. And just like any engine, it needs fuel. That fuel is a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Now, this engine dictates your drive to do literally anything. But there's this massive, widespread misconception about how that chemical fuel actually works.
Almost everyone thinks dopamine is the pleasure chemical, right? Like you experience a reward, so you get a hit of dopamine. Well, neuroscience tells us that is fundamentally backwards. Dopamine is absolutely not the pleasure chemical.
It's actually the wanting chemical. It spikes when you anticipate a reward, not when you actually get it. That is exactly why mindlessly scrolling on your phone feels so incredibly compelling. Every swipe might reveal something cool, so your brain just floods you with dopamine to keep you searching and anticipating.
And here is where the whole system kind of turns against you. When you bombard your brain with way too many of these cheap dopamine hits from screens, it adapts through a process called downregulation. It literally decreases the number of dopamine receptors you have. It's like your brain is turning down the volume knob on satisfaction. Because of this severe tolerance effect, normal tasks like reading a book or just doing your job suddenly feel agonizingly boring. The whole effort to reward ratio gets completely broken.
All right, part 3, how to detox your brain. So, the good news? Because of neuroplasticity, this damage is not permanent. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you do, which means you can reset the system and get your natural motivation back. But what exactly is a dopamine detox? Despite the trendy name, you're not actually eliminating dopamine. Instead, think of your dopamine system like a dimmer switch that's been cranked up to maximum brightness for so long that normal daylight just looks pitch black. A detox is simply about turning down that dial of artificial hyper-stimulating stuff so your brain can finally recalibrate to what normal feels like.
Here's the tricky part, though. Most people fail because they just try to white-knuckle it. Listen, for the first few days of a detox, you are going to feel anxious, restless, maybe even a little irritable. You have to realize that this restlessness isn't weakness, it's literal withdrawal. Your brain has adapted to constant, massive stimulation. That discomfort you're feeling is actually the ultimate proof that the process is working and your brain is successfully reorganizing itself. Whatever you do, don't quit right before the breakthrough.
So, here is the exact practical protocol to upregulate those receptors. Step 1, identify your highest, emptiest dopamine activities. We're talking the things that take the least effort for the most stimulation, like social media or junk food. Step 2, eliminate them temporarily to create some artificial scarcity. And step 3, this is super important, replace them with slow, sustainable rewards. Read a physical book, cook a meal from scratch, go for a walk without your headphones. It's going to feel pretty boring at first, but eventually your brain will start releasing dopamine in anticipation of these healthy activities too.
For this to really stick, you need a specific time frame for that temporary elimination. 3 days is the absolute bare minimum to see a shift, but 7 days? That's the sweet spot. 14 days is completely transformative. Just pick your number and commit to it. Which brings us to part 4, pleasure versus satisfaction. As you're replacing those empty sources, you really need to grasp the difference here. Pleasure is fast, it's immediate, fleeting, comes from the outside and takes zero effort. Modern life just bombards us with pleasure, yet it leaves us completely empty. Satisfaction, on the other hand, is delayed, it's lasting, it comes from within, and it demands real effort. A detox forces your focus away from that cheap pleasure and pushes you toward building lasting, effort-based satisfaction. And get this, satisfaction actually produces way more overall dopamine over time than cheap pleasure ever could.
And the neuroscience backs this up beautifully. Studies show that when you practice delayed gratification, you actively engage and strengthen your prefrontal cortex. That's the advanced part of your brain handling planning and self-control. On the flip side, instant gratification just feeds the primitive limbic system, which runs entirely on pure impulse. Literally, every single time you choose discipline over a cheap distraction, you're upgrading your brain's operating system.
Finally, part 5, rewiring for intrinsic motivation. Okay, reality check time. You absolutely cannot rely on willpower alone to maintain this new baseline. Why? Because your brain is always going to look for the easy out. You have to design your physical environment so that discipline becomes the path of least resistance. Delete the apps, use website blockers, toss your phone in another room when you're working. Make the junk food incredibly annoying to get to, and make your healthy habits totally effortless to start. Every physical barrier you put between yourself and distraction is a vote for the person you actually want to become.
Oh, and whatever you do, don't ignore the social side of this. Your brain is hugely shaped by the people you spend your time with. Dopamine habits spread like wildfire. They are highly contagious. If everyone around you is just scrolling and binging all day, you're going to be pulled right back down. Seek out communities and accountability partners who actually value focus and deep work.
Now, you might be watching this explainer and thinking, man, this sounds miserable. Why would I intentionally make my life harder? But honestly, that's the trap of a hijacked brain speaking. From the other side, discipline is actually so much easier than distraction. So ask yourself, which is genuinely harder? Spending your days chasing unfulfilling, anxiety-inducing dopamine hits, or building a life where your effort itself becomes intrinsically rewarding, leaving you confident and entirely in control? So I'm issuing a challenge right now. Don't just watch this explainer and move on with your day. Make one solid decision today. What is your single highest source of empty dopamine? You know, the one that requires the absolute least effort for the most stimulation. Identify it right this second and commit to completely removing it for the next 7 days.
Just let your brain breathe for a minute. Notice that restlessness over the next week. Document it. Pay attention to when the anxiety peaks and when it finally starts to fade. As you fill that empty space with slow, meaningful rewards, you're going to watch your entire relationship with hard work transform in real time.
Look, we were not meant to live as slaves to algorithms. We're wired to tackle hard things and actually feel amazing doing them. Trust that on the other side of this temporary discomfort is a permanent transformation. Your brain is sitting there, totally ready to be rewired. The only question left is, are you ready to do it?